Client-side validation is not security, but it's still important. Today, I'll show you how to use SOT in React Native and Node and where validation actually matters. Let's take a look at this front-end code. We are making an API call to our backend to register a user. And right now, nothing prevents empty string, invalid emails, or short password. So let's take a look at our backend and see what we have. So in our backend, we have this validation in place already. And let's just comment this just for the demo and see what happens when we don't have validation, right? Let's go to the mobile app and go to the validation demo. And right now, there is no validation in the front end and there is no validation in the back end. So the user can enter any email, the password can be any length, so there is no security, right? So let's imagine this, and the user was registered successfully because we don't have any validation, right? So let's add some validation to the front end and see what the result is. And one thing to notice here, let me uncomment this in the front end, and let's try to register another user with a short. As you can see here, it is telling us that the email is invalid and the password is too small, right? So now this validations comes from our front end, right? And remember one thing from this video, that the validation in the front end, it's no security. This improves the UX. We catch mistake before hitting the server, right? Which is good because we are telling the user that, you know, they are making a mistake over here and something is wrong with their email or password, right? So let's add a few more digits here for the password. And now you register, right? But this one, it's just the front end. Anyone in can use any tool like Postman. That's not a hacking tool, it's just to make requests to our backend. Anyone with a Postman can make a request to our backend. So that will bypass our validation in the front end. So let's take a look at the backend. So remember one thing, the security has to be placed in our backend. So now if we try to register with another user, let's modify this email. All the email is correct, right? But let's comment the code again in the front end just to make sure our validation is working properly in our backend. So let's comment this code and try to log in with an invalid email, right? So let's just delete that, and then let's try to register. As you can see, this comes from our backend, right? So basically, when it comes to security, remember one thing, validation in the front end are important, yes, super important, but that doesn't mean that you are secure, because the mobile apps can be modified and Postman ignores this validation, right? So what's very important and you have to keep in mind is that our validation or secure validation must be implemented in our backend, right? So in the next video, I'll show you how to extract its schema into a shared SDK so the client and the backend never go out of sync, right? When I mean schema, I mean the SOT schema, right? So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.